Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss Podcast, episode 26. I'm your host, Pam, and today we're going to be talking about grief. I looked this up, and it is a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I promise there is light at the end of this one. And I looked this up and it came up with like the 7 stages of grief after death. But I think grief and grieving applies in all situations that end or transform. So number 1 is shock and denial. Number 2, pain and guilt. Number 3, anger and bargaining. Number 4, depression, loneliness, and reflection. Number 5, upward turn. Number 6, reconstruction. And number 7, which is my favorite number, acceptance and hope. This is a little bit of a hard one for me to talk about. So I want to come right out the door and say, grieve. I hope that you are feeling whatever stage of grief that you're at, whatever it is that you're grieving, I hope that you're feeling that. When they talk about grief, they don't talk about how it comes in waves. Unless you are presently deeply grieving something like that it's new to you, they don't tell you that it comes in waves. And I'm not only talking about grief of losing a family member or a loved one, though that can sometimes feel a little bit more personal than not. It's also grieving a life that maybe you previously wanted to have and have felt that you've outgrown it. Or it's grieving a situation that might have came and went and maybe you miss it. Not maybe enough to repeat it, but it meant something to you while it was here and you're grieving it. You're grieving that it ended. Maybe you're starting a new career. Maybe you've moved and you're starting this whole new life and you're grieving what you left behind, not because you want to go back to it per se, but because you're a little bit afraid of the future to come, and you're also a little bit insecure of who am I to be in this position now, this uncharted water. Or maybe you're grieving a relationship that ended or a friendship that after however amount of time, it kind of just ended, or you feel like it's going to end. Maybe you're feeling guilty because you want to bring it with you. You want to bring this situation, this relationship, this previous life, this previous career. You want to bring it with you because you feel like you've poured so much into it. Over the last couple of years, I don't really know why, other than like some of the books that I've read, but I've brought with me a saying that is, feel your feelings. Some of the trendy generational or breaking generational curses work that I've felt that I've wanted to do has been not ignoring my emotions or not ignoring my feelings. By saying like, I can't be sad right now, or I can't deal with this right now, or I can't feel emotional, I can't cry, I have to keep my head in the game. And while those things are valid to some degree, like you don't want to be rage driving or sobbing crying where you can't see because you could hurt yourself or hurt someone else. But it's nonsense to say don't feel that or you can't feel that or that shouldn't be how you feel. You know, we're human beings. There are several things that separate us from any other species, and one of them is the ability to choose, but also the way that we get to feel, and also how we get to express how we feel. It's because of these feelings, we're supposed to feel them. You know, in my opinion, we don't just get these things and like we're just supposed to sit with them. Like we're supposed to feel and take them and be with them. There's a reason that they're inside of us, that we feel them. It's okay to say or feel like in the moment of your grief that you're looking at something and it brings you joy, but it also makes you feel nostalgic. Like, I know I've heard women, when they give birth, they say, oh, I miss my belly. You know, they miss when the baby was inside of them. Not because they don't want the baby here, but because this is a person that they're mourning now. You know, we don't talk about enough how these waves come. How sometimes they come with multiple emotions. We don't talk about how we look back at different points of our lives. Like when you're freshly 21 and you're out partying and you're staying up till 6 a.m. and like, wow, that was such a good time. Like, that was such a weird time when I lost that job and completely changed my life 6 years ago. Like, wow. You know, the relationship that changed, or the one toxic relationship that everyone has, and if you are listening to this and you haven't had a toxic relationship, bless, because everyone's had one. But maybe you miss the person that was in that relationship. Not the other person, but yourself. You're grieving that girl that brought things to the table. Like, you didn't care about certain things that now mean so much to you that it almost feels overwhelming. This piece of grief means that you're alive. It means that you've experienced a sense of joy, whether it was long-term, whether it was super deep or just super superficial. It means that you've belonged to something, that you've felt a feeling that felt so personal to you, and now it's no longer yours, or now it's no longer here. I can describe it as your favorite candle. Your favorite candle that you always light when you get home, and you have like 100 of them lying around because you just love the smell, you love how it makes you feel, you love the memory that it triggers for you, and then you find out that that candle is no longer sold by that store or by that website. And you also find out that you're down to the last one of that candle. And you almost feel silly, like, I don't burn that candle all the time because I don't have it, I can't get it anymore, or something like that. It means that you're living. To grieve is in a weird way to know that you're alive, to know that you're feeling. You know, my heart goes out to anyone that's ever experienced, let's say, a miscarriage, or the loss of a parent, or the loss of a career, or you let go of your childhood home, or you let go of the car that you've been driving since you learned how to drive, or you completely changed your career from a career that you wanted since you were 5 years old and you just don't have it in you anymore to continue this career because your heart's just not in it anymore. Because while these things at one point or another brought so much joy, they also leave behind the remnants of sadness. You know, maybe right now you're at a point in your grief where you're like shocked and you're like, I can't believe that this happened. I can't believe that I'm feeling this way. Or maybe you're feeling pain and guilt. You know, sometimes I've found that I feel the pain of having lost a loved one and feeling guilty almost. Guilty that I didn't get to experience them long enough, or guilty that I didn't get to express to them as much as I wanted to, or maybe even feeling the painful guilt that maybe I didn't mourn them the way that I thought I should have in the very beginning of them passing, or in the very beginning of them leaving. Like, maybe I was in such shock or anger that I couldn't believe that that happened to me, that I didn't even give it the right time to feel. Maybe you're at a point where you're depressed about your grief, where you're feeling low and you're just like, I can't put my finger on it, because depression does show up in different places. Maybe you're feeling alone because you've lost this part of your life and it feels like everyone else is moving on. You know, nothing ever feels quite as loud as when you're sad and everyone else is not. Because you feel 1,000 feelings at once. You're almost like, everyone is happy. I don't want to bring this up. I don't want to bring the mood down, or I don't want to be around anyone. So you create this loneliness place for you because you're like, you know, this is my life. This is what I knew was coming. And like, basically you make a depression bubble for yourself through your feelings. And I want to encourage you that if you're in this current part of your grief, I hope that you talk to someone. I hope that you come up with someone for this. And I hope that they're able to bring to you what it is that you need to get you through this. Or maybe you're at the point of your grief where things are starting to get better. You've accepted that things are to change, that it will get better. Whatever your current stage is, I hope that you're feeling it. I hope that you are aware of how much life you have yet to live and how much you have lived up until this point, and how much it will come together for your story and how meaningful that is. And I hope that you are able to tell your story someday of this grief and how you've gotten through it. Whatever stage of grief you are in, I hope that you find peace in knowing that whatever the relationship was, whatever that life you thought was to be or not, however long ago that grandparent or that parent or that aunt has passed on, know that they are with you. This is your story, and I hope that you tell it to the world. I want to dedicate this episode to my dad. He's physically this week been gone for 13 years, basically my entire adult life. He has not been physically present. I miss you, Dad, and I know that you are so proud. Thank you for listening. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.